Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast. This is episode number 23 with Eugene Frier. Really cool conversation about work he's doing over at Texas Wesleyan, supporting their kind of blossoming esports offerings for students to compete competitively and just build community and create content. So it's really cool, innovative stuff. I feel like he's kind of at the forefront, kind of riding this wave with some other institutions that are starting to do similar work. So it was really cool to hear more about his story and all the cool stuff that he's doing there at Texas Wesleyan. So definitely check out their webpage. We linked it in the show notes, and spread the good word so more kind of nerdy college students can find their community and follow their passions and interests and utilize their strengths if they're just really great at this game. It's, increasingly becoming just like a sports or any other athletic or sort of creative offering, playing an instrument or something like that. So really cool to see it get the support that it deserves. After this brief message from our sponsor, this is episode number 23 with Eugene Frier. It's an honor to have our good friends at SwiftKick be a sponsor of the podcast because I've seen their work firsthand, and it's truly unlike any student leadership training I've experienced. They've been voted Best Student Leadership Program unprecedented 5 times, so you know they must be doing something right. As a bonus for our listeners, SwiftKick is giving a $500 discount off their normal speaking fee if you mention Higher Ed Geek when you contact them. I highly recommend their trainings for your campus, as your students will be talking about it for months afterwards. It's really great stuff. Check them out, swiftkick.hq.com, to learn more, and let them know I sent you. Now, back to the show. Yeah, I appreciate you being patient and flexible with me. I know
you're good, man.
Commuting is always kind of a chaotic experience.
Yeah.
So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I did okay today, so but yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more, because I feel like your new role is something that is very unique and maybe is leading the way for something that's to come here. But so we'll get right into it. Because we'll just kind of start out here as we always do. If you want to just give a little bit of an intro as to kind of who you are, what you're about, and sort of your journey of how you got to be where you are today.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Eugene Frier. I currently have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of Esports and Recreation at Texas Wesleyan University. It's been when things happen in life where it's like everything kind of came together, and I wasn't even like looking for this. That's kind of how I feel with where I got to where I currently am. So I grew up, just to give you a really quick bio, I grew up overseas in England. My mom is English, my dad's American. He was in the Air Force when I was born. So from when I was born until I was 18, I lived in England, with the exception of like a 7-month period when I was like 2, so I don't really count that. But I grew up on an American military base and played sports growing up, played video games. I grew up playing Commodore 64 to now, and was always involved with like competition, with social activities, leadership development stuff when I was younger, and video games were always there in the background. So as I went through college, I was an RA through every year except for my first and my undergrad. I moved on to being a hall director. I moved on to being a coordinator, then an associate director in housing. And then I moved over to my current school as an assistant dean of students before the new position came about. And through all that stuff, a lot of my focus had been on student engagement, community events, all that kind of stuff. And I always tried to find ways, as I know it's kind of how we met, but I always tried to find ways to infuse pop culture, geek identity, that kind of stuff in the presentations that I did and the programs that I did. And that just kind of happened throughout my career. And then this opportunity came up this past year, and now I get to tell my mom that video games are my job, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's very cool, because I think, that part of it where I feel like you've always been trying to kind of distinguish yourself in a way that would sort of infuse sort of your personal interest into a professional role like this. So it feels like it's like kind of a long time coming, and obviously like it's hard sometimes to like push too hard for it to like force it to happen. If it feels like it's like a natural thing, that works out a lot better, and maybe kind of the consensus of colleagues and things. But
I guess, yeah, I mean, just to dig in a little bit more of sort of, kind of the origin story for you, like thinking back to your own college experience, like what were parts of that, like experiences, involvements that you had when you were in college that, still kind of come up personally and professionally for you now?
Well, I think about, and I hate to keep going back to video games, but I think about my freshman year, 1999. I was very far away from home. I knew about 5 people in the state of Texas when I moved into the residence halls when I was a freshman. And none of them lived in the halls. Several of them lived several hours away in my family. And then I had a friend that I graduated with that had been at school before I was there, and he didn't live on campus. So I just remember trying to meet people, trying to put myself out there, but also kind of being like, And the first group of friends that I made, and I kid you not, and this sticks with me to this day because it informs how I do certain things personally and professionally, but I was walking down the hallway to meet the friend that I had from high school, and I walked past a room. It was triple rooms in that residence hall. Walked past the room. The door was open, which nobody's door was open back then on that particular wing, except for this one, which stood out to me. And they're in there playing WCW versus NWO on the Nintendo 64. Oh. And that was a game me and my friends played a ton when I was growing up, like from when it came out to when I went to college. And I saw them playing it a couple times, but this one particular day, it was like, hey, like, are you guys play this a lot? They're like, yeah, we do. I was like, if you ever want somebody else to play, and I kind of made the offhand, like, sarcastic kind of joke, if you ever want somebody to teach you how to play, like, let me know. And they kind of laughed and stuff. And then 2 or 3 days later, and this is like the student affairs kind of like TV show thing. A couple days later, they were looking for an extra person for their flag football team for intramurals. They saw me in the cafeteria, and they're like, hey, wrestling boy, do you play football too? I was like, yeah. And then I started hanging out with them, and we played games together, and we played football, we played video games and stuff. But it always stood out to me that in that specific wing, nobody kept their doors open, but they did. And that's the thing that's really, really big to me now. Like making sure that the having a literal open door policy, but also like making sure that students know and that my staff and my colleagues know you can come talk to me whenever you want. Like if I need to finish sending this email, I'm going to let you know that. But aside from that, I'm here for you. I'm doing this because I want to invest in people and I want to build those relationships and stuff. And that was a really big thing for me. But then moving up through my career, my college career, should I say, before I worked as an RA in my freshman year, I worked for recreational sports as a ref for intramurals. And I remember talking to them about like, hey, we should do some like Madden tournaments and that kind of stuff. And they were not at a place where they found value in that as a department. So I started doing that in the halls, and that helped me land a job as an RA. So just like little things where it was like I wasn't doing these things to get a job or to get friends. It was like, I like this stuff, and I know people like it too. So let's bring people together and do stuff that we like,
Yeah.
So that kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, that's like simplicity and approach is one thing that I think about a lot. Like we don't always have to do. I mean, it's very important to have a plan or a strategic plan for a department, an initiative, all that kind of stuff. But if we can accomplish goals in a simple way within that plan, let's try to do that. We're focused on people in this field. Let's not lose sight of that.
Yeah. Because I think, like dealing with people is kind of complex and can be messy and kind of like, if it's like, if you try to apply, too much structure to it, sometimes it's not going to end up working out. And I think, the idea of just like, we want more social programs to get people out of their rooms to like connect and all that and have fun together. It's like, hey, simple way to do that, like very accessible. Like that's because it could be like board games, video games, that like it's an activity that you have to kind of be present for. And sometimes it's like, it's simple probably in the sense that people might just bring their own stuff too. Like, but you're just sort of like organizing it in the sense of like, here's the place, here's the time, come as you are to, meet people in your hall or something, or just, like the entire campus community, kind of on or off campus. But it's like, just kind of that serendipity too. Yeah. Like you said, it's just like, oh, I like that game. You like that game too? Or just like, it's generally like what I love about kind of like geek communities of just like connecting. Yeah. Like that's kind of the key to get you in the door, connecting on what you both enjoy. And then you might learn so much more and deepen the connection beyond that. But it at least kind of gets the fire going.
For sure. I think about what some of my old colleagues used to talk to me about, the play therapy psychology concept, counseling maybe it is, I'm not sure. I just remember it being under play therapy, but of parallel play with kids. When counselors are working with kids that have trauma, if they have the kids like playing with toys, like their brain is focused on playing, and it kind of unlocks some doors. I'm oversimplifying this probably grossly, but it unlocks doors and lets them more freely have a conversation than if they're just sitting across from the psychiatrist or counselor who's like, tell me what's wrong, That stuff works. I don't. Anecdotally, it does in my experience, at least. So it's start simple, but then you build social capital to do the more meaningful things and the more, I don't know, long lasting things down the road too.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess if you want to maybe give a little bit of context, because I know it's still just a recent thing, so you maybe not have gotten too kind of deep with it yet, but kind of with your current work, bringing us back to the present day, kind of the things that you enjoy most about your current work, and maybe just the context of how it came to be, since it is so recent. Maybe you haven't gotten involved in too much yet, but
for sure.
Yeah, just kind of talk a little bit more about your current role.
Well, the official job change is about 2 months old, but I've been working on the proposal since the summer, since July. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing a lot of the stuff since mid to early fall as well. But essentially, where this came about, I report to our VP of Student Affairs. And in a conversation with him this summer, we were talking about our university, and it was just, what can we do? What are new innovative programs that we can do to recruit, engage, and retain students at a higher level? We're a very small, private, religiously affiliated university. We have about 1,900 undergrads. So numbers, you don't want anybody to wash out of school, obviously, but numbers have a bigger impact at a smaller school. So we were just brainstorming ideas. And honestly, a colleague from my last institution, who I'm in a Warcraft guild with, we were talking over the summer. This was about a week or two after I talked to my VP, and she was mentioning, we're setting up an esports area for our students, and just kind of started talking to me about it. And I'd always heard about esports and competitive gaming with student organizations, but it was like, oh, you guys are spending a lot of money on that. That's awesome. That's really cool. So the next day I kind of started looking into it, and I started seeing that varsity programs started being developed. So the big difference between the two groups, student organizations, as I know you're aware, are students that sign up with the student affairs office, whatever office on campus, register as a student organization. And there are a lot of avenues for them to compete through. And some student orgs run like departments. They run so well because they have the right leadership in place, and everything is just really smooth. But my apprehension with pitching it to my boss as a student org was student orgs live and die by charismatic leadership. So you could have a great 2 years and then 3 people graduate and then the org kind of goes away. Mm-hmm. So it was like, no, we need to have it be attached to the university, show our students that we care about what they care about, So I was seeing like schools like Robert Morris University, Maryville, like there's a lot of schools that started around 2014, 2015, offering scholarships and running esports programs like other athletic teams on their campus. So over 2 or 3 months, I did a lot of research on that, talked to folks from about 15 or 16 schools, talked to folks from about 7 or 8 leagues, a bunch of different companies, and I put together a proposal, pitched it to my upper administration, and long story short, they thought it was a good idea for where we are. It's a good time for our physical location too, because we've had 3 pro teams move to the area in the past 6 or 7 months. A city about 15 minutes away from my campus, the city of Arlington, announced about 2 or 3 weeks ago they're going to renovate part of their convention center into a 100,000-foot esports arena. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in our area, and there aren't many schools that are doing varsity programs in the Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana area right now. So our senior leadership was like, go. So we've just kind of been running since then. So the stuff that I enjoy about what I'm currently doing, I've never recruited before, and I didn't think that I would really like recruiting. But I actually kind of love that. Like, I've worked, cause I think the reason I didn't think I was going to like it is because the recruiters that I had seen, and I think they had at times dubious morals. But I've very much approached it like this. The students that I talk with, it's like, okay, when we actually start talking, it's like, well, I want to talk to you about 3 things. 1, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and the program we're trying to build. 2, I want to talk about money because college is really expensive, and we need to talk about that right now. And 3, I want to talk to you about like what your thoughts are about college and about esports and all that kind of stuff. And I tell them throughout the process, if at any point you want to back out, let me know. I'm still here to help you with college questions if you want, though. And there's been 3 or 4 students that have said, hey, I can't go to your school, I'm sorry, that still reach out to me. That's the kind of stuff that we get into the field for. You know what I mean? Like truly helping people, trying to make a difference. But it's also cool, like, hey, come build this with us because we're in year 1 right now. So the recruiting thing has been really, really fun. We're gearing up for tryouts later on this month. I've never done a lot of stuff with sponsorships before. That's been really cool. Very, very new. But putting together decks and guiding a conversation of this is why it's valuable for your company to support this program and all that kind of stuff is just been kind of new. But I think the biggest thing that I'm enjoying right now is not a departure from my entire career, but from my most recent job. My most recent job was not as directly student-facing as I would probably prefer. But now there are students in my office all the time. We just got one of our computers in, and I've told them, like, if you have downtime in between classes, come test it. We want to see what the problems are with it. And they're like, what, really? They're coming in, playing on a really, really good gaming computer, and they're like, can I download another game? And it's like, yeah, we have space. Like, nothing inappropriate, of course, but, like, go ahead and play. But just the conversations that I'm getting to have where it's not like I'm not doing my job because I'm going out to seek out students and talk with them. Like I'm not doing a report, or I'm not. It's like this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I've really missed that. So that's been it's been really cool about this change too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that's like some people, like they worry about moving up because then you're moving away from students and you wouldn't really have those interactions, and maybe the only ones that you have are negative, which obviously can still be really developmental and really great and all that. But, students always just see you as almost like the boogeyman or something, because it's like, I only hear from you if I'm getting in trouble or something. But so, it's really nice that you can still have like really positive interactions. And even like you said, even if it's not a student who would, that you're recruiting and, kind of getting into be a part of your program, like you're at least still putting good vibes out there and kind of having good word of mouth, where somebody might be like, I had a really positive interaction with them. It wasn't for me, but somebody else is looking for that, and they're at least just not kind of put off by what you're doing there. So that's really really cool. And I guess just out of curiosity, so like at this stage when you're just kind of starting out and recruiting students, and I guess, how does it work? Like, are you recruiting to be a part of a team for a particular game, or like, how does it, because I guess if it's parallel to, a traditional like varsity, like sporting model for something else that other people might be familiar with, like what's kind of your base right now that you're building off of that you're trying to recruit for?
Okay. So and this is the thing that's been very interesting too. There are many answers to that question. So to give the context on what we're recruiting for initially, there are three main parts to our program, and we're recruiting for 2 of them. The 3 main parts are competition, creation, and community. For competition, we're recruiting for teams to play competitively in Overwatch, League of Legends, Hearthstone, and Smash Brothers 4. Mm-hmm. For the creation, we're in talks right now with Twitch, finalizing a contract to get a partnered Twitch page up for our school. And we're going to build out a YouTube presence as well. The creation side is the content creators. We're looking for editors, producers, writers, showrunners, on-air talent, all that kind of stuff, just to make things for the university that they can also use as a portfolio when they're going on to get internships and jobs. And those are the 2 that we're recruiting for right now. The community is just who wants to take part in this, who wants to attend the events, who wants to be in our Discord, who wants to do all that kind of stuff. Now, where we're recruiting them from, there's not a solid answer on the creation thing. I've tried on Reddit and on some different forums to no real luck right now. But recruiting is also a volume game, obviously. I think I've sent out 200 emails in the past couple of months, and I'm actively talking to about 50 or 60 people, which I'm really happy with. But it's just stuff unsimilar to what I've done before. So we're happening to find some people for the content creation through our recruiting avenues for the competition. So I mentioned Discord earlier. Are you familiar with Discord?
I know of it, yeah. 'Cause I guess it's sort of like a Slack, but for like sort of in the geeking community. Yeah.
It's basically video game Slack. Yeah. And there are a bunch of different high school esports leagues. Mm-hmm. So the leagues that we're currently in offer us some avenues to recruit students through their recruiting platforms, and then also looking through Discord and the recruiting channels, in addition to recruiting on our campus as well, of course. So those are the main areas that we're doing it through. We have information on our website students can fill out and stuff as well, and we've gotten a few hits from that. But most of the students that we've been actively talking to have come through one of the recruiting platforms or through reaching out via Discord.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, if we can just at least link out to stuff if people are curious to check it out, or obviously we can just kind of spread the word to hopefully get people kind of in your pipeline there. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool because I know for me, like, I've just now started to dabble in kind of the Twitch world and just seeing the very kind of slick rollout and presentation of like the Overwatch League and some of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I saw that headline of the stadium that's being built, which is, I guess, makes sense that's in your area. And that's something that obviously people around there are aware of and just kind of is like an asset in your kind of tool belt there. But yeah, I mean, that's really cool. And I mean, it's something that I think has been this like, I don't know what the metaphor I want to use is, but I mean, it's just slowly been growing and very quietly. And I think that maybe I was one of those people for a while. I wasn't aware of it, but now just kind of peeking in and just, I have a very like deep newfound respect for this whole kind of sector, just like competitive gaming and live streaming of gaming. And just like, that's a big part of where I think the community is heading in terms of people who just really love video games and, you know, like watching people who are good at them play, like, you know, watching people compete, you know, at a very high level. And and then just all that kind of cool, like loot and kind of like gear and things that come with that. Just like, it's just, you know, it's really cool.
When I would say one thing too, to anybody who's listening or anybody that you would talk to that works at a university right now that isn't aware of their gaming community, they have one. And I would bet money on the fact that their students are doing amazing things right now. Like it is so incredible to me to see what these students are doing at the different universities that I've talked to. And a lot of this has been without the university even knowing. Like I'm not trying to say this in a disparaging way about a school close to mine, but University of Texas at Arlington, they're making a lot of strides right now. In the past couple of years, they're like one of the front runners as far as the student orgs, like nationally. But I know like 3 years ago, or I think it was 3 years ago, they had a team that won a competition through Blizzard. The game is Heroes of the Storm, and Blizzard hosts a collegiate competition called Heroes of the Dorm. The school that wins that, they get their tuition paid till they graduate. Wow. And UTA won that. And the people that won it, I think, graduated that year. Most of them did, I believe. But at the time, the school didn't even know about it. So like that's like a nightmare to me that you're not able to celebrate your students' success in that way. And again, UTA is doing amazing things right now. I'm not trying to sound negative against them when I say that, but like we have students that are doing incredible things right now. And it's just sometimes senior administration sees that and is like, but we're talking about video games, right? You know, and it's like, yes, but also it's social media management and event management, and it's delegation and it's organizing, and there's so many things that the students are doing that it's so impressive to me. It's amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to link out to because obviously Heroes of the Storm is one of the games that I play a little bit and watch a lot on Twitch, and I was seeing some people talking about that Heroes of the Dorm, which I guess either is happening now or
it is. Yeah, I think it's a final 32 right now.
Yeah, so if people want to check that out, but to see, maybe if your campus has a team that's in the running there, because I advised a gaming club when I was at university previous to the job I have now, and like they were trying to figure like, hey, can we use our budget to buy things for like League of Legends to like compete and stuff like that, or like I think they were maybe like go to their conference or something. But it's like some people are doing it through the proper channels, others may not. But if they could get that support and endorsement and kind of guidance with all that, it's really cool to see the places that are supporting that. And then if you're not, then start looking for it, because I'm sure it is there, kind of just waiting to be found, and those students to be celebrated and supported. So. So I guess, I'm curious, with all of this, you mentioned being into the video games for a long time, and, it's something that you've connected with people over. So, generally with that, maybe things that you that you play or anything, but like, what are you geeking about right now? Like, what are you consuming? Like, and is it stuff that you've discovered more recently, stuff that you've always been into? Like, yeah, just anything that's kind of catching your attention right now.
Yeah, the main things that I would say are new in that respect. I I never have really listened to podcasts before, but I started a couple months ago. And I have a 45-minute commute each way for work. So it's like, oh, it's great. I can listen to basically one a day, you know. So I started listening to a couple. They're all gaming related, really. Most of them are gaming or geek culture related. But with Frog Pants Network and A Move TV, they have podcasts about like the Frog Pants one is The Instance, about World of Warcraft. That's my favorite game. I've played that since it came out in 2014, so I always love listening to that. A Move has like Into the Nexus and Weak Sauce, Weak Sauce was the first non-specifically about gaming one that I listened to, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to listen to one that's not about gaming, but it's like, I actually kind of like podcasts, you know? So those are some new things I've been doing on that front. I have been a big Star Wars fan my whole life. Like the one tattoo I have is Star Wars related. I legitimately played a Star Wars song at my wedding. I'm a big Star Wars fan. And Star Wars Rebels, the animated series, ended a couple of weeks ago. And I've been telling my wife for the last 4 years that she would love it and we should watch it. And I've been watching it, that we should watch it together. And when it finally ended and I told her that I cried in the last couple episodes, she was like, maybe I should check this out. So we're rewatching that right now. And Star Wars is kind of always on my mind.
Yeah.
But I think a bigger thing that's not as recent, but a thing that I've always kind of geeked out about is weird as this might sound, but like stories. Like I love hearing people's stories. I love stories in video games. I love I'm a really, really big lore nerd. So like most of the books that I read are like encyclopedia / world history of this fantasy universe books. And that's stuff that's kind of always there. Like and for me, it's always like if something's on the forefront of my mind, that's what I'm devoting a lot of my time to. But then if I have some free time, I can always pull one of those out. And it's not like I have to finish all of this. I can finish this one section and the rest of it will be there when I get back. There's no story that's progressing where it's like, I got to see what happens to Harry Potter, you know? So those are probably the main things right now. Like I know a book that's definitely on my list to get next is Warcraft comes out with these chronicles. The third one I think just came out, and I'm probably going to try to get that in a couple of weeks. But they're like just chronicling the history of the Warcraft universe, which is 25 years old at this point. And there's a lot of retconning in that. So these books are like codifying and like, no, this is seriously like the story. So those are probably the big things most recently, and then the big thematic theme as well.
Yeah. So I guess, that answers a couple of questions. But I guess, and so I'm curious because you mentioned like playing World of Warcraft for a really long time, and like people that have like been in your guilds and stuff like that, you know. So I guess like maybe with that or anything else that you can think of, like you already mentioned, obviously like the story from college is just one way that like your interests had that positive influence on your life. But just anything else like that of how like video games, the things that you're into, like how have those positively contributed to your life?
I say a couple of things. When I look at like, I think it's like a two-front thing, like my personal life and my work life. I'd say with my work life, again, it's another means to engage with students and with colleagues. Like I know I was having a conversation. There's a IT staff member on my campus. It's been really, really helpful. I've known him for the past couple of months, I think, and it's always been like, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? But we've never super talked. But I went into his office to ask him a question because I was in the area the other day and I saw that he had a Destiny 2 wallpaper. So because I like picking at people, I started making fun of him because it wasn't a wallpaper of a Titan. It was a wallpaper of a hunter. And ever since then, we've talked a lot more, you know? So just that connection piece that like when people see like you get it, you know, that's why I have like Funko Pops in my office and Star Wars posters and Marvel posters on the wall and all that kind of stuff. So that using it as a vehicle for engagement has been a big thing for work. Like when I was a first year hall director, we had a guild in Warcraft of people that went to my school. And it was like, there was like around 20, 25 of us that like went to the same school. Most of us lived in the same residence hall that were in this guild. And that just made it really meaningful to me as well, but to a lot of the people, because we would go run a dungeon and then we would go to Whataburger or go to McDonald's afterwards and eat, you know? So that's a big thing for me with the work side of it. But just personally, it helps me unplug a lot. Like there are some games where I play where I'm not going to be paying attention. I'm going through stuff, and it's really a sense of catharsis for me. It's been a great tool for helping me stay connected with friends. Like Discord, I mean, throughout the day where it's like a group chat for me and my friends, one of the servers that I'm in. And then we all jump in when we're playing different games at night. Like Heroes of the Storm is a big one that we play. But whether it's Heroes or WoW, or we were playing Vermintide 2 recently, just a bunch of different games. And it's really good with me and my wife as well. And not just gaming with this, but just like pop culture, geek culture stuff is what eats up a lot of my brain space. But if we have downtime, we'll bust out Harry Potter trivia and just like quiz each other. And she plays World of Warcraft 2, not as much right now because she's in grad school again. She's getting another master's degree, but there were times when it was like, it's a Friday, we didn't want to do anything. We'd get some wine and log into Warcraft and go run old dungeons or try to get rare mounts, you know? So that's another, it's quality time, to us. And I know I kind of mentioned it with Star Wars, but we watch a lot of TV when we have free time as well. A lot of anime together. We just finished Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is probably one of the best shows that I've ever seen in my entire, not just anime. It was just amazing. We're really excited for My Hero Academia Season 3 coming out. I think the first episode might have came out last weekend, but we wait for it to come out on dub because we prefer to watch it dubbed. But yeah, just watching TV as well, I guess, is the other big piece.
Yeah. Everything that you mentioned, we'll make sure to link out if people are curious to go check it out. But yeah, I think we've kind of gone over everything here, so we'll wrap up and end here as we always do, with something or things that you are looking forward to in your job, life, the world. Just to end things on an optimistic note. So, yeah, what are you looking forward to?
I'd say the most timely thing that I'm looking forward to is me and my friends using Skype and Discord, for those that don't live close, are going to start playing a new D&D campaign. We're meeting this Saturday to roll stats and make our characters. And I'm really looking forward to that. Obviously, starting to compete in the fall with the job, our different teams is really, really something I'm looking forward to. My wife finishing that second master's is something that I'm looking forward to. There's a new WoW expansion coming out in the fall. And I used to take a week off of work when a new WoW expansion came out because me and my friends would just play like 16 hours a day. The new Avengers movie, obviously. And I think, and this might sound like a swerve, but this is one thing that's been on my mind a lot. Obviously with a lot of things happening in the world with, people using their voice more to speak out about different issues. It's always really encouraging to me when people are making an opportunity in a healthy and constructive way to be heard. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. I'm also looking forward to hopefully some of the discourse around hot button topics returning to a more civil place. But I'm very optimistic that it will, based on what I'm seeing from the students, not just on my campus, but across the country. So just like the natural progression of the next crop of leaders, whether they go to college or not, but the next crop of leaders stepping up is something that's always exciting to me.
Yeah, well, it's a very, very comprehensive list of things. I'm with you on all of them. Because it's just like, it's something to look forward to, just in those like small things, just being kind of a general optimist about the world and progress. And I already have my Infinity War tickets, and like you're saying, like being able to like watch TV or make room in your life for the quality time with the people that you care about in whatever shape that takes, that's always something to look forward to as well. All great stuff. And I'll just be really curious to see kind of the kind of evolution of the work that you're doing and seeing that kind of pop up on different campuses. So I appreciate you talking about it for a little bit here and kind of just satisfying my curiosity. So best of luck, with everything that you're doing there. And again, we'll have everything that we talked about here in the show notes and ways for folks to connect with Eugene. So again, just to really appreciate your time. And
no, thank you, man. Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
This podcast is a proud member of the Connect EDU Podcast Network, bringing together diverse voices and thoughtful discussions to the higher ed community. Check us out online at connectedu.network or on Twitter at connectedupod. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast.